Hey, everybody, and welcome to our virtual FCA Adult Huddle. We're so excited for all of you guys to be joining us live on Facebook. This is exciting. Just an opportunity for us to continue to get together and share a little bit about ministry, even though we can't be together in the same room. And so we're just looking forward to sharing those things with you because I think the theme that we want to share with you guys during this time is that ultimately ministry is not canceled. So much has been put on hold. It's been canceled and kind of been removed from our lives. But the reality is that ministry is not canceled. And so we're really looking forward to sharing some stories with you about what God is doing throughout the Greater Springfield area. So just a few things that I would love to share with you too. As we get started for the next 30 minutes, we're going to hammer out some things and share some things with you in this short amount of time. And at first, I just want to share just some cool things that have been going on throughout the Greater Springfield area. From a staff perspective, we've seen some really cool things as things have started really transitioning, as we've seen closing of schools, seasons cutting short, and those types of things. Ministry is still happening. Ministry is still taking place. It's just different. It's really in a new light and a new venue in this virtual sense. And so we've actually seen a lot of coaches' Bible studies throughout the Greater Springfield area actually go virtual using platforms like Zoom. We've been able to utilize platforms like the YouVersion Bible app and those plans with friends is what they call them, that you are able to actually do daily devotions or Bible studies using the YouVersion Bible app to do and grow and to grow in your relationship with Christ with others. And so we've really been able to utilize that as well. And it's just been a lot of fun to explore these new avenues of ministry and really see what exactly this is like from a virtual standpoint. And so God is moving in incredible ways, and we are excited to share what those ways are going to, or what those have been like throughout the last few weeks here throughout the Greater Springfield area. And so we actually have three guests joining us today that are going to be sharing a little bit about their experience and their ministries over the last few weeks. And so we've got TJ Sorgenfei from Nixa High School, Dylan Curtis from Marshfield High School, and then Ben Whetstone from Missouri State University. So I don't want to take too much of their thunder, but basically what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of ask these guys some questions. We're going to allow them to share a little bit about what God is doing in and through them and through their ministry. And then we also want you guys to ask questions too. If there's some time at the end of today and we've got some time to do a little Q&A, just like we do when we're together in the same room at Second Baptist, we would love to do that. And so please feel free, if you use the comments section on this Facebook Live post, we would love your questions, and we would love to pass those along to our panel here, I guess you can say, and allow them to answer those if we've got time. So let's kind of go around the horn a little bit, and TJ, let's start with you, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you go to school, what year you are, all that good stuff. So let's hear it.
All right. Well, first of all, I love Jesus like everyone here. I'm a junior at Nixa High School, and I have the awesome privilege to be one of our SCA leaders there. And I also play on our varsity basketball team. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, TJ. It's good to have you, man. Appreciate you
Thank you.
joining us today, and looking forward to getting to know you a little bit better and diving into what ministry has looked like at Nixa High School. Dylan, what about you? Can you share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hey, thanks, Cody. Appreciate you having me on here. My name's Dylan Curtis. I teach at Marshfield Junior High. I'm a PE health teacher, and I coach high school basketball on the boys' side, and I'm also the cross country coach.
Awesome. Thanks, Dylan. Appreciate it. Fun fact for those of you that do not know, Dylan is getting ready to be a dad. Just about like any moment right now. It's getting down to crunch time, right?
It's getting very real. We're
That's
excited.
awesome. Good deal. Well, thanks again, Dylan, for being here and joining us. Let's go to Ben. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, what's up, guys? My name is Ben Whetstone. I am a fifth-year senior at Missouri State. I play first base for the baseball team, and I'm actually getting ready to have a sixth year at Missouri State now due to the coronavirus thing. So I've been having the pleasure of working with Cody, I think, since my second year at Missouri State. So I'm going on like my fourth or fifth year working with Cody as an FCA leader. So we've got to know each other really well. It's been a really good time. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again for being here and joining us. So we're gonna actually start with a question for Dylan, actually. So let's start there and see. Can you share maybe a little bit about what ministry looked like for you before this whole coronavirus thing kind of went down? What were you guys doing in Marshfield?
So this was actually my first year at Marshfield, and we decided, myself along with another coworker, Sheraton Hunter, we decided to start a coach's Bible study. They didn't have anything going on for the adults there at the junior high building, so we saw a need there, and we went after that. It was kind of a struggle for me because I was new and I didn't know anybody, so I didn't have a relationship. So when we started this, I was like, man, I don't know like what it's going to look like, what the numbers are going to look like. But having Sheraton there, she's been at Marshfield for a while, and she's the junior high FCA, one of the co-leaders there. She really helped just get a lot of people to show up. I think our first meeting we had 18 people, and the max number we've had has been 20. We meet once a week and we just dive into the Word. But I'd say we average around 10 to 12 people a week, and that was just way more than I expected. But you and FCA, Cody, provided us with the Kingdom Series Bible study, the book of Philippians. So our first book that we went through was Philippians, and that was amazing. And from there, we decided we wanted to dive into James. And so we were about halfway through our James study when COVID broke out.
That's awesome, man. So tell us a little bit about those studies, as far as kind of what are some things that, like, topics that you guys dove into and some things that you guys talked about during your studies of Philippians and James, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about what that looked like.
So one that really just comes to my mind that was just a great conversation was just controlling your tongue, and just how, especially as teachers and leaders and coaches, like what we say has a huge impact on these kids we get to be around. So we just had really great conversations about things that we say, and then what happens when we mess up as a coach, as a teacher. And we're humans too. We sin just like everybody else, and how do we go about navigating that when we say something that we shouldn't have said, or when we're talking to somebody, it's a conversation A and B, but somebody hears what we're saying, and we're not talking the way that we should. I'm not saying that happens all the time, but we do make mistakes. So it was just really cool to see how we navigate through that, and people just giving ideas on how we can hold each other accountable, but just be real with your students, with your student athletes. Like, when these situations happen, we have to be able to show grace to you guys, and you guys show grace to us, because we are all, susceptible to failing and to sin.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So what has this COVID-19 thing meant for that study? Was that something that you guys just kind of had to put on hold? You weren't able to meet anymore because you were doing those studies in person. But what did this whole coronavirus thing do for your guys' study, since school has really been canceled for the rest of the year?
Yeah, that was crazy times. And I am not like a technology person by any means. I didn't know Zoom existed until all of this happened. So we started out, I was just sending out a Google document just through email and saying, here are my thoughts on this passage of scripture that we're going through. And people would email back what they thought. But then you, Cody, actually sent me a text and just was checking in, and you suggested using Zoom. So we tried it. I figured out how to operate this a little bit, and we continue to meet weekly. We finished up our study in James 2 weeks ago, and so we decided that we're just going to continue to meet weekly until the end of school, and we're just going to talk about prayer requests, or if anybody has read anything in their personal study that they want to share. We're just kind of going that route now to finish up the school year. But it is nice to just be able to see each other's faces, even though we can't meet in person.
That's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. It's so cool to see what God's doing even through a virtual standpoint. So I'm gonna bring TJ in now and ask a little bit about what has FCA look like at Nixa High School this year, and then kind of a transition of some things that you guys dealt with. So first, what did FCA look like at the start of this school year?
Well, at the beginning of this school year, we were kind of like trying to rebuild our club because at Nixa, it wasn't as well known as in years past. So we started off meeting every other Wednesday. And so we did that, and more kids started showing up, and they asked us to move to every Wednesday. So we started doing that. But basically, we have 3 leaders. It's me and 2 seniors. And every week we would come up with either a devotional or like some sort of message that we felt like God had put on our heart to share. And we would like collaboratively share a message to the students. And our main goal for this year was to inspire students to reach our campus. And so we most of our messages were like trying to come up with ways to be bold and to share the love of Christ with the students around us that don't know Jesus. And so that's what the majority of our FCA looked like. And we even had like towards Christmas, we had a few-week series on revival, just to get our students like super excited. And that was really awesome. We had some guest speakers during that. And I think it really just got our students pumped up and ready to share the gospel with our school. And so we've seen some pretty cool things. We've had some outreach events, like we did a tailgate party during the football season, and that was awesome. We got to invite some kids during that, and that was cool. I think that's the first time we've ever done that. But yeah, so up until then, until this time, that's what we've been doing. So,
Man, that's awesome. That's something that you guys have kind of dealt with, this transition of, okay, you guys went on spring break and then basically never came back. It was kind of one of those things that once you guys left for spring break, they decided we're going to move everything as far as schooling wise to that virtual standpoint too, of, hey, you're going to do a lot of kind of online classes, homework, all of those things are going to be done at home. So what does that look like? You'd think, you guys would meet in the morning in Coach Brumley's room, right?
yes.
And you would get together as a group. So what does that look like now when you guys can't meet together on campus?
Well, kind of the way we're approaching a meeting is, instead of like I mean, I've seen some other FCAs do Zoom meetings, but what we've been doing is a lot of our members follow us on Instagram. So what we've been doing is on every Monday and Thursday, we post a passage of scripture for the students to study and soap, so that we aren't connected. We can't see each other, but we're connected by reading the same passage of scripture that day. And so what we've been having them do is called SOAP, which is scripture, observation, application, and prayer. So it's kind of if you don't know what it is, it's a journaling technique. And I love doing it. I think it's just a really awesome way to go deeper. And so what we've been having our students do is, they journal in their notebooks, and they do their SOAP, and then they take a picture of it and post it on their Instagram story and tag us. And so that kind of gets the word out and kind of spreads it, and inspires other students that aren't following our account to do the SOAP and everything.
And that's cool to see you guys utilize Instagram like that. So, I mean, how do you guys determine like what scriptures you're going to go through, or kind of what that looks like? How do you guys determine that within your leadership team?
Well, so some of us are on like devotional plans for our own personal time. And so sometimes it stems from that, or one of our other leaders, like Abby Dassel, she would like really feel like God had put a certain passage on her heart. And that happened to me a few times. And so we'd be like, I really feel like our students should read this today. It really applies to the situation. And so we kind of just fly by whatever we feel God is telling us. And so even like in our daily devotionals, we're like, oh man, this really goes. I really feel like this would speak to students. So we just want to share that. So it's not necessarily random, but it's not like we're going through a book of the Bible. We're going, like different places. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's cool to see. Again, just you guys really kind of investing in using social media to continue to encourage. And I think, just like you said, your guys' goal for your huddle this year was to inspire your members, or the student body. And I think this whole process of SOAP, diving into scripture a little bit deeper is a great way to do that, so that you can draw others closer to Christ too. So man, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing, TJ. I appreciate it. Let's go ahead and bring Ben in here to share a little bit about Missouri State FCA. You've been on the leadership team for a while now, a few years, and serving as a leader representing the baseball team. So, man, share with us a little bit about what has ministry looked like over the years when it comes to the baseball team specifically at Missouri State.
Yeah, so I was fortunate when I was a freshman that we had a really good FCA leader who was a junior at the time, named Alex Jefferson, and he kind of took me under his wing right away. And then my second year at Missouri State, I was like his assistant and helped him lead the baseball team. And he really prepared me to take that role over once he left. And so then after he graduated, I've been the baseball team leader. I've had a couple other people help me out over the years and come and gone, but I've pretty much been the main leader the past 2 years, and it's been really fun. And we've had a pretty solid core small group that we try to meet every 2 weeks, and then obviously with the big group FCA with all of the athletes at the end of the month too, we try to encourage guys to come. So it's been cool to see guys that have made strides in their relationship with God. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So exciting to see that happening specifically on each team, and that's something we see across a lot of teams at Missouri State. The baseball team is not the only one, but it's cool to see how you guys have also transitioned, in this time, because you guys were in season, in the middle of what was going to be your final season, graduating and done with baseball. But now with this whole, COVID-19 thing, it kind of just, brought the season to a screeching halt, ultimately, because I think you guys were like on the bus, right? Headed to a game when you found
Yeah,
out.
we were on the way to the airport to fly to California, and we got about halfway to the airport and turned back around. And by the time we got back to Springfield, because we were going to Kansas City, so by the time we got back to Springfield, they had canceled the College World Series. So it was a pretty crazy day, whirlwind of emotions there in like 3 hours.
Yeah,
It
for
was nuts.
sure. Crazy. But what has that looked like for you guys, after having your season canceled and kind of having to deal with that? What is the transition, as far as ministry, look like for you guys?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, we had somewhat of a routine going, as best as we could when we were on campus, meeting every couple of weeks. The guys would come over to my house. We actually had one of my former teammates who's not on the team anymore, but his family's from Springfield, and they would cook us dinner on Wednesday nights, and we do our FCA small group Bible study. So we had that solid routine going, and then once this everything came to a halt, like you said. All the guys all went home. I went home. I'm back in Kansas City. And so like you don't see your teammates anymore, and it's really tough. Luckily, being involved with the FCA leaders just at Missouri State, Cody was able to help encourage me to continue our Bible study via Zoom. And I think that actually it's almost been better now than it was. Just obviously when we're in our season, it's very difficult to coordinate a time to everyone's free, because we're all very busy in our season, traveling and handling school and stuff. So this, now that everything is coming to a stop, we've all almost gotten into a better routine. We've been meeting once a week, and it's been really, really cool to see. We've actually had some guys who had never even come to a Bible study when we were back at school, who have been coming to these Zoom Bible studies and contributing quite a bit. So it's been really, really cool to see that.
Man, that's so cool. What are some of the things that you guys have been talking about in your team study during this time?
Yeah. So basically, the way we kind of decide what we're going to talk about, we don't go over a certain book or have a set like thing we're going to do. It's kind of like, for me, usually I'm usually the one who has been leading it, and for me, it's always just kind of like thinking about what I'm struggling with the most and trying to go from there. So we've talked about like anxiety and worry through this time. We've talked about how there's purpose in our pain. But what's been really cool lately is that we decided a couple of weeks ago that I encouraged someone else to, take a step out, and maybe we could alternate leading the Bible study so that we could all try to get something out of it. And so we've actually had a kid who led his first ever Bible study last week, and was talking about eternity. And then this upcoming Wednesday, we have another guy who's leading it for the first time. So it's really exciting to see how that's going to go.
Man, that's awesome to see how you guys have just, all of you just, transition ministry to where, even though school's been canceled, your season's been canceled, ultimately ministry has not been canceled, and it's continued through this entire time as well. And so I'd just love to kind of go around and allow you guys to share a little bit again about what God is teaching you during this time. So, what is something, TJ, man, what's something that God's been teaching you during this season of COVID-19?
Well, I think this like time to slow down has allowed me to go deeper, but I think I was expecting to go deeper, but not in the way that I did, because I feel like God has showed me, like, kind of brought up my areas of weakness. And I think that's happened to a lot of people, I think it's allowed us to see where we can improve or see where we lack. And I don't think God has shown me that to discourage me, but I think he's like working in me during this time to, just grow. And so that, like, when we're like at home or alone, we can grow before we go out into the world and experience those things. And I feel like he's strengthening me and preparing me for whatever's ahead. And I feel like God is doing that through a lot of people. In my life group at church, we've talked about it several times. Students are like going through like doubts and fears and stuff, and they're talking about how God is strengthening them, and they're using God more than ever and asking Him for help to get through these things. And I think it's allowed a lot of us to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's pretty cool to hear. Just the opportunity to go deeper for sure. Dylan, what about you? Is there something that God's been teaching you during this time?
I kind of think just like everybody, just having a sense of gratitude, and it's just really opened my eyes to what I take for granted so much, but really just the relationships I take for granted and the opportunities that I take for granted. I didn't talk to Jesus today, to this person, even though I felt that nudge, but I'll have tomorrow. Well, this is kind of showing maybe you won't have tomorrow. Like, things happen that are out of our control, so we need to take advantage of the opportunities when they're there. And if God's pushing me or nudging me to talk or do something or go, just do it, because the opportunity may not be around forever.
Yeah, that's that's a good reminder for all of us, for sure. Just a little bit of a sense of urgency for sure. Ben, what about you, man? Is there anything that God's been teaching you during this time?
Yeah, I think for me, it's been just kind of like slowing things down and taking a step back to work on my own personal faith. And I think a thing that's really been on my heart is just like trying to discover my purpose and just continue to, find out what I'm doing with my life and what God's doing in my life. And it's been stressful at times. Obviously, like you said, I was supposed to be done with college and moving on to different things, after this year. So now I got another year to see what happens, I guess. But just trying to sit back and just trust in God's plan, but also just figure out, what I think that God's purpose for my life has been something that I've been trying to really pray about and work on.
Man, that's awesome. Well, guys, I really appreciate your time and just being here to share a little bit about what God is doing and in so many different ways. With you guys at Nixa utilizing social media to take advantage of doing ministry and continuing to pour in and inspire your guys's student body is just so cool to see. And then you guys at Marshfield diving into scripture, utilizing those Zoom meetings and all of those things has been just really cool to hear the growth that's taken place during that time, and really appreciate your leadership and seeing that come to fruition, so to speak, just within your first year at Marshfield. It's so cool to see that and just to see the buy-in from other coaches in Marshfield and the investment that they have in their relationship with Christ. And then, Ben, for you guys, still taking advantage of having that community, and even though you can't be in the same place or on campus together, you guys are still connecting. And what's cool is that you're able to empower your teammates to also lead ministry as well and lead those studies too. So that's something I'm just really appreciative of you guys. Thankful for all that you do for FCA in the Greater Springfield Area, and everything like that too. And so again, thank you guys for joining us. Again, just thank you guys for joining us on Facebook Live. For those of you that stuck around and watched this, as we've been able to just talk about how ministry is not canceled during this time of COVID-19, and God is still very much on the move in a lot of different ways and avenues. And so just want to give a special thanks to these three guys for sharing a little bit about what ministry is looking like currently, and also just a big thank you to our Adult Huddle team of volunteers that's still working to make these things possible. And for you guys as our Adult Huddle members, the membership fees that you guys use to support these ministries that continue to take place, like you've heard multiple times, is they're using these FCA ministries on campus are utilizing resources that you guys are providing for them, and we're just so thankful for that resource and for the funds to be able to allow these guys to continue to do ministry and beyond throughout the 61 schools in the Greater Springfield area. And lastly, I would love to give a shout out and a big thank you to Second Baptist Church. Again, even though we're not able to be there this month and have a delicious meal together, because Joel always hooks us up and does a great job of feeding us some good lunch. But we are just so thankful for them and their passion for the FCA ministry and their willingness to host our Adult Huddle on normal circumstances. So with that being said, we look forward to the day that we can get together in person again, and hopefully that's going to be at the start of next school year. So we're going to take the summer off and hopefully allow you guys to enjoy the summer, hopefully COVID-19 free, and we don't have to deal with that any longer. But again, just so thankful for each and every one of you that's watching today. Thankful for Second Baptist Church and their willingness to host our Adult Huddle luncheons. And we are just so excited to see you guys come September, hopefully in person at Second Baptist Church. So for more information on what FCA is doing, what we're up to, feel free to visit our website at gsafca.org. You can also visit all of our social media platforms with Facebook, obviously, Twitter and Instagram. We're posting updates on those as well. And a lot of those updates are coming from the guys that you heard from today, as well as other ministries from around the Greater Springfield area. So again, thank you guys for joining us, and thank you guys for joining us on Facebook Live, and hope you have a great rest of your day, and God bless.